All right. Shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, that great millstone, who rule well. And salutations to you brothers who are going through afflictions to teach this word. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 1. He that is wounded in the stones, or hath his privy member cut off, shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. So this is specifically speaking against what you call transgender, transgender, and hell, you can even say transhumanism. Because you're basically cutting your member off in that fashion too, and Esau's into both. You know what I'm saying? Verse 2, a bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Lord. So a bastard is anybody who isn't an Israelite. Really. Because he never had the opportunity to get in, because he wasn't Israel from the get-go. Verse 3, an Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of the Lord forever. So this is you so-called Chinese people and you so-called Japanese people. And the ironic part is a lot of them know exactly what the deal is with Israel and everything. And there's a good bit of people in both China and Japan that have Israel amongst them. So let's not forget the confusion of face, brothers. But we're talking about a Japanese or Chinese purely. Not if your line goes back to Jacob. We're talking about if you are purely through and through from first generation on down. If you're Chinese, you will not make it into the kingdom of heaven, or what you perceive as the kingdom of heaven. You're finna go, but of course you're finna be under servitude. You know what I mean? And that comes later on. Because they met you not with bread and water in the way, when ye came forth out of Egypt. So these same people, they knew that we were the Israelites. When Jacob was spreading into these lands, they knew exactly who was coming. The people that were going, forth out of Egypt, we didn't know who we were. Come to find out, the people that went forth out of Egypt are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, called Israelites. And that's basically who the Bible is pertaining to. It's not pertaining to anybody, an Ammonite or Moabite. Because, you see, they gave you not bread or water, so they didn't give you any of the word, any philosophies that would let us know who we are. They didn't even let us know that we spoke Hebrew. When the people came out of Egypt, you know what I'm saying? Like, later, years and years down the line, there's a lot of Jacob in Egypt that probably don't even know. They don't know about what happened, really. They're just living their life because they never got that bread and they never got that water from the other nations. And ultimately, they don't have it because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai has only chose to inflict certain hurt on his people. And it says, and because they hired against thee Balaam, the son of Beor, of Pethor, of Mesopotamia, to curse thee. And that's just somebody in specific that was, we were catching hell from. Verse 5, nevertheless, the Lord thy power would not hearken unto Balaam, but the Lord thy power turned the curse into a blessing unto thee, because the Lord thy power loved thee. So see, the reason why we were driven out of Egypt ultimately was to start this entire storyline, which is the glorification, first of all, of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, second of all, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, amongst the first the first prominent members of Israel. You know, so just because you are, you know, from Abraham doesn't mean you get the blessing. You know, it's all about, at the end of the day, it's all about Jacob, Israel. You know, this is all that he's talking about. Verse 6, thou shalt not seek their peace nor their prosperity all thy days forever. So you're not supposed to like them, period. And you know that there's Jake mixed in amongst all the nations, but you know the ones that really are Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites. You know what I'm saying? Because they have a certain hatred about you, because they know, ultimately, you know, they know that there's a significant there's significance to a certain number of so-called Black, Latino, and Native American men and Confucian of Faith brothers. Verse 7, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. And here's where all the so-called white people go crazy. They love this one. They love pulling out this one, but they don't put it into context. The Bible is a continuation of words. Nothing just stops. Everything is connected. So it says, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother, which he is. Esau, Edom, is a brother, and by definition a relative to Jacob, who you would call Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Now, here's where it gets tricky. The Most High isn't dealing with Esau. The Most High isn't dealing with Edom. It's already been talked about. It's already been established. So when he's saying us do not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother, he doesn't just want us to rise up and be carnal and try to take over. You know, did Yahushua try to take over Rome? No, of course not. He was around a bunch of Edomites. You know, he was around all sorts of people. So you're not just gonna, you know, go out here and do all sorts of things and try to have violent rallies. That's out of order. You know, that black identity extremist deal, that's out of order. And ultimately, the Most High isn't dealing with it. You know what I mean? And the same guys that are talking, you know, all sorts of madness, calling themselves that, they're pulling out these scriptures saying they can save the so-called white man, because you're not going to be able to be saved simply because of this verse right here. And I'm going to continue to read to prove that. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. So much like when you are a guest in a house, you know, you have to have a certain decorum. Now we were stuck in the land of Egypt. So over time we had to adapt to the ways. So once again, is everybody going to rise up against Pharaoh and take it out? No, the Most High had the spirit put on Pharaoh to rule over Egypt. Or are they just going to have some guy come in and take over and then let the Israelites go? No, they were building some of the most sophisticated architecture that the world has ever known. You know what I mean? They were doing all sorts of things, you know, aqueducts, you name it. And a lot of the Roman architecture, all it does is just mimic old shit, you know, that the Israelites were already doing. You know what I mean? But because we were in the land of Egypt, obviously we're not going to rise up and revolt. That doesn't make any sense. So he's saying that you're not supposed to hate an Egyptian in that time. And of course, spiritually, you're going to hate him. Because, you know, if he's a real deal Egyptian, he's a Hamite. You know what I mean? And you already know what's for Hamites. Death and destruction. Now, there are a lot of Jakes, a lot of Israelites in Africa. It's a very high number. But there are Hamites also who just are not going to receive salvation. Plain and simple. Verse 8. The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their third generation. So this describes a lot of people that you currently see now. You have a lot of people whose great grandpa is they don't even know, but they come to America, and they live their life, and come to find out their great grandfather is, so-called Negro, Latino, Native American. So you're coming into understanding that in these times. You know what I mean? A lot of these so-called white people, your grandfather may look like a so-called white man, right? You're born, you may look like a so-called white man, but in reality, because of your lineage, you're an Israelite. So that's what it's describing, that later on in family lines, you can have certain characteristics to come out to show, who you are. And it's also judged by the Spirit. Verse 9, when the host goeth forth against thine enemies, then keep thee from every wicked thing. So basically, when the Most High God, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, puts the WWF smackdown on this place, you need to depart from these same people. You know what I mean? Depart from every wicked thing. You see, because when Egypt was getting judged, when the Babylonian Empire and all these other things were going on, you see, the Lord ultimately intervened, and that's what makes this so crucial. We're not gonna stand up and do shit, nothing. All the work is going to be done by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and we're going to be witnesses, and we're going to make testimonies towards what he is doing for us, the children of Israel, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's simply it. We'll keep away because he's separated. Was there Moabites and goddamn Edomites amongst Israel when they were leaving Egypt? No, of course not. Everybody was separate. There was only Israelites during that Exodus. The book of Exodus is not about everybody. That it don't make no sense. So all these everybody is invited, Christian groups, you got to stop. Now, the Spirit just has it so that you're pushing that vibration, but the elect men, of this earth all around the nation are starting to come into this truth. Verse 10, if there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of uncleanliness, that chanceth him by night, then shall he go abroad out of the camp. He shall not come within the camp. So, if you're getting openly rebuked, by brothers, if you're going off doing all sorts of stuff, you eating pork chops in front of a brother and he says, hey man, what are you doing? Or, you eating crab or, all sorts of things, you know exactly what not to do, doing any of those things and you get called out for it, you can, you may get a cool off period. Like, hey man, go home, kind of get yourself together. Verse 11, but it shall be when evening cometh on, he shall wash himself with water, right? So you're going to go over those precepts. You're going to listen to the advice of your elders that counsel. You may watch a video or two pertaining to your certain situation, whatever the case is. And when the sun is down, he shall come into the camp again. So, after another day, after a new day, you can kind of get that, as long as you take that rebuke and don't take it so sharply and see it as edification, then you can, ultimately you can come back into the fold, and go back to what you were doing. Verse 12, thou shalt have a place also without the camp, whither thou shalt go forth abroad. So even when you're by yourself, you have to do certain work. You know what I mean? That's, physically going to work in order to make money to pay bills. And also, that, studying, watching your videos, making your videos, and really keeping that vibration going, not shaving. And that's a big thing too, because a lot of Israelites say that you can shave your beard, and that's, it's just not true. So, but, brother may come freshly shaven to, the camp, or to a sit down, or he may come to the restaurant, or go to a brother's house for dinner, or whatever the case is, and you rebuke him. He can go home, really think about it and say, I'm not gonna shave no more, Salakia, and Barakatha Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakwadash, for showing me that, I can be rebuked and keep the spirit going. Because, everybody is shaved before, but once you come into this truth, you gotta let that go. It is what it is. Because, you look nice, but it's it's a custom of the Romans specifically, because as far as Israel goes, Israel's never touched a razor. And in the scriptures, did you ever hear, and then Jacob went and grabbed a razor to prepare for the next day? No, they didn't do that. That's not a custom, and you find that out. Verse 13, and thou shalt have a paddle upon thy weapon, and it shall be, when thou wilt ease thyself abroad, thou shalt dig therewith, and shalt turn back and cover that which cometh from thee. So you're constantly coming back and reviewing that same stroke, you know what I mean, and kind of perfecting that, because this is a repetitious thing. Same doctrine. The Most High God, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, is going to come to save his elect people, 144,000 men, and that 1/3 of the Israelite population, which is a very large amount of people who are going to, prove to be elect through that 1/3. 2/3 of our people must be destroyed because of their wickedness and how they basically work with the other heathen nations. And ultimately, how Bashem Yahushai is going to send chariots, what you perceive as through the TV, UFOs, whatever the case is. They're going to come and ultimately establish righteousness on the earth, because this earth is out of whack. It's completely out of course. Verse 14, for the Lord thy power walketh in the midst of thy camp, to deliver thee, and to give up thine enemies before thee. So when you got a guy talking shit, a heathen, he's, just some guy, he's some guy, oh, I'm from New Zealand, he's talking a bunch of shit or something like that. The Lord is with you. Because see, where you are, where multiple Israelite men are, you know what I'm saying? And just Israelites, period, but the spirit specifically is coming over the man in order to really give up your enemies before you, because they're going to have to admit that ultimately you are the prince of the power, and that everything that you're saying is made to be sure, everything is in line, and everything is according to the scriptures. Therefore shall thy camp be holy. So separate. So you're not joining up with so-called white man, so-called Chinese man, so-called Indian man, East Indian man, and you'll know by the spirit, by the look, and who's Israelite and who's not an Israelite. That he see no unclean thing in thee, and turn away from thee. Verse 15, thou shalt not deliver unto his master the servant which is escaped from his master unto thee. He shall dwell with thee, even among you, in that place which he shall choose in one of thy gates, where it liketh him best. Thou shalt not oppress him. So this right here, this could mean multiple things. So I'm going to just read 15 again. Thou shalt not deliver unto his master the servant which is escaped from his master unto thee. So this could be speaking about us, but I'm going to read down more and see if I can get some context clues. Verse 16, he shall dwell with thee, even among you, in that place which he shall choose in one of thy gates, where it liketh him best. Thou shalt not oppress him. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore, or the price of a dog into the house of the Lord thy power for any vow, for even both these are an abomination unto the Lord thy power. So it sounds like from right here, it seems like literally a servant. So if you had a servant, it seems like the almost like you're leaving property to property. Like you wouldn't go to a man and try to edify his wife on something. Let that man edify his wife. You know what I mean? So it's just render unto what's a man's, especially an Israelite man. Render unto him what is his. And basically, verse 17, there shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. So a lot of these gays, lesbians, what you call sluts, hoes, bimbos, whatever you want to call it, that's going in complete opposition. Verse 18, thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of the Lord thy power for any vow. So you're not going to be going back and forth with so-called white man. You know what I mean? You're not going to be joining hand in hand, doing certain things, certain business dealings. You can't do that. You're separate. This is verse 19. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. Unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury. But unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury, that the Lord thy power may bless thee in all that thou settest thine hand to in the land whither thou goest to possess it. So usury, to me, I feel like usury is a number of things. And I'm just going to make a part 2 to this. So I just want to say, Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, and Shalom to the whole full leg.